Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Joe and Ryan on Listen Up. Ryan, just think if I told you like months and months ago, all right, Ryan, plan on going on the podcast on Thanksgiving Day. You would have been like, no, Phil, not interested. But hey, we're here anyway for this last check-in, Ryan. And this has to be, other than that game in February, I believe, that I circled, this has to be one of the toughest tests so far during the regular season and probably all of the regular season, to be honest with you, Ryan. This is the Cayman Islands Classic, Ryan, tomorrow at 7:30, right? Tomorrow at 7:30. The Connecticut Huskies and the UCLA Bruins. Head coach Corey Close leads her ball club in to this John Gray Gymnasium. Oh, my goodness, Ryan. I cannot wait to get your take, what you have to say about this. And I cannot wait until the end to hear your prediction. Like always, Ryan, Corey Close, head coach for UCLA, brings in Lauren Betts. You know, this is a great basketball player that we were crossing our fingers at one time during that episode that we had about transfer portal predictions.
Yeah.
We was crossing our fingers, right, and saying our prayers at night that she would end up in UConn. Unfortunately, it did not happen. It would look very well right about now if that was the case. But Ryan, Lauren Betts leads in points. She leads in rebounds. She leads in blocks. And then you have the Maryland native. That's right, Ryan. I said it. The Maryland native, Kiki Rice. And she leads the team in assists and steals. So, with that said, we're going to turn it right on over to you. I know this is going to be fun. I can't wait. And you know, some rumors about KK Arnold may just be earning a starting role position. So I want to hear your take on that. But let's get right down into this last check-in. Ryan, what do you have? UCLA and a happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yeah, first of all, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you all had an amazing day with friends and family. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed some turkey and ham and whatever you eat during Thanksgiving and some great dessert as well. I know we did. But yeah, big game tomorrow for UConn, Cayman Island Classics, Cayman Island Classic. Of course, they will play Kansas immediately the following night on Saturday night. So two big games back to back, but of course this one a little bit bigger than that Kansas game against UCLA. UConn definitely going to have their hands full with the number 2 team in the country. Of course, UConn did move up to number 6 in this week's AP poll. Little generous ranking in my opinion, but nonetheless, UConn going to deal with more talented guards on UCLA. Has 2 in their starting lineup. Charisma Osborne, the senior, is one of them, averaging 17.7 rebounds. And the sophomore, Kiki Rice, like you mentioned, from right down the road in Bethesda, Maryland, averaging 12 points for the UCLA Bruins. And of course, we can't forget about possibly the biggest move all offseason in the transfer portal. UCLA bringing in Lauren Betts from Stanford, 6'7", center, averaging a double-double so far for the Bruins. And rounding out the starting 5, 6'4" forward, and Angela Jujulik, and sophomore forward Gabriela Jaquez. Guard London Jones, also another name to watch. She's been in and out of the starting lineup, so possibly a 3-guard starting lineup tomorrow from UCLA, but we'll have to see at the tip-off. But like I said, UCLA, they really have looked like the second best team in the country so far this season. Average point of victory was 43 points until they played Princeton, which was their last opponent, who they only beat by 3 points, but nonetheless, they're still undefeated and beating their opponents by a pretty good margin.
Yeah.
So I think tomorrow for UConn, I think the game plan has to be firstly on defense to create some turnovers. Something the Bruins have actually struggled with so far is taking care of the ball. So possibly UConn getting some steals, getting some transition buckets is going to go a long way for tomorrow's game if UConn wants to win. Trying to limit Betts on the inside, and then Osborne and Rice, some of their guards off the bench, is definitely not going to be easy. I hope UConn's offense also opens up. We need more efficiency from the field and more 3-point attempts. Of course, unfortunately, with AZ Fudd now out. And also some news today we received: Caroline Ducharme is out for tomorrow's game, dealing with neck spasms. And there's no timeline for the return of Ayanna Patterson. So that only leaves 10 available players for tomorrow's game against UCLA. No word on the Kansas game yet, but possibly only 10 available players for that game too. So it doesn't get much easier for UConn, but they're gonna
Ryan,
have their
why did
hands
you have
full
now? It feels
tomorrow.
like now it feels like my Thanksgiving food is coming back up. You know why did you have to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's better than only 7 available players, I guess,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
UConn had to deal with last year. But it just doesn't seem like it can get any easier for the Huskies at any point in the season.
But again, and look at the success they had going back to last year with the injuries they had. Not to get into this talk again, but because we've had enough of it. But don't you agree, Ryan, that I personally think so, that this is the case after seeing the headlines, and still the headlines coming out today, the what the outsiders are saying about UConn. I think personally, I don't know. I think it's kind of sort of an overreaction because, again, who else, you answer this for me? I mean, if you tell me I'm wrong, then I don't know what coach to pick. What other head coach would you have other than Gino Auriemma to balance this out and to deal with starting lineups, to deal with, plugging in different players here and there against the different opponents you face? I mean, to be honest with you, man, I think that I don't know. I don't want to say people are overreacting, but I think you know what I mean. It's just, hey, this is not a coaching staff that was hired yesterday, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think the only issue is for Gino. He throughout the years he usually has, kind of 7 or 8 players, a really specific starting 5 that he usually sticks with throughout the season, and only a
Yeah.
couple players off the bench. And I think the past couple of years he's kind of been forced into playing his bench a lot more than what he's kind of used to, and especially now this season. The bench is definitely going to have to step up, especially for, it looks like, these next 2 games, and possibly the game next week as well, which is another big one
Yeah.
against Texas and Ball State coming up. But yeah, it looks like, the bench players, and we knew this was the case before all of these injuries going into the season, but it looks
Mm.
like the bench is just going to have to step up even more now with Cadence and Ashland. Hopefully Amari as well. It would be huge if Amari DeBerry could step up and play tomorrow and try to limit Lauren Betts down low with her size. But yeah, it's going to be, I think, tough down inside the paint especially. And of course, like I said, it doesn't get much easier on the outside as well.
Let's face it, though, this is a tough test for UCLA. There's no shying away from that. I honestly believe in that 100%. I mean, from what I mean, let's go back to UCLA for a second, Ryan. The last time they lost was in March of this year. Dating back to March in the Sweet 16 against number 1 South Carolina at the time. Well, I believe they're number 1 right now again, but yeah, I mean, UCLA, that's the last time they lost, was in March. They beat Purdue this season. Their most recent win came against Princeton. But if you look at that, Ryan, Princeton came close. I mean, that was a 77-74 UCLA win. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I believe that this is going to be a defensive battle, to be honest with you. And UConn most certainly can win it. They most certainly can win it. And I can't wait to see what you have to say after comments. Let's go over, Ryan, to the comments from KK Arnold, named Big East Freshman of the Week. Stevie Kinsey goes, KK has a bright future along with all the freshmen. She has so much energy, and that Maryland game had some really nice finishes and dimes. Same at Minnesota. When she got that steal and hit the buzzer beater, she got me out of my seat.
Yeah, very exciting plays so far from KK, and hopefully we get to see a lot of that tomorrow and throughout these games, these 2 games at the Cayman Islands. And as far as that goes as well for the other players that have to kind of, are forced to kind of step up now. Maybe we see tomorrow possibly KK and Ice Brady in the starting lineup, or possibly still Albert Griffin, but somehow UConn is going to have to deal with the size down low. But hopefully we get to see a lot of KK Arnold driving down the lane, scoring buckets tomorrow, and hitting some 3-point shots, hopefully as well.
All right. And now this is a short comment, Ryan, but this is what I told you in the preview tonight when we came on. The disruptive one. KK should be starting, to be honest. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
we've talked about it the past couple games, and especially now with Caroline Ducharme officially out, it is a really big question, and I'm really interested to see what the starting lineup is tomorrow night. But I don't really think it's necessarily a huge deal if KK is still not in the starting lineup. She's been getting a lot of minutes off the bench. I'd say averaging about 18 to 20 minutes off the bench, and obviously playing really well. So, I think either which way in the starting lineup, coming off the bench, she's been playing great for UConn so far. But yeah, I think, Cadence and Ashlyn, I think probably get a little bump in minutes off the bench. And like I said, hopefully we get to see Ice a lot off the bench, or possibly in the starting lineup.
Yeah, this goes along with my prediction. If a matter of fact, UConn wins tomorrow night, they have to get points off the bench. And I don't see myself changing that narrative for a long time. I mean, they have to get points off the bench, period, Ryan, in a lot of these games, especially these ranked opponents. Let's go over one more. Actually, two more. Bond Riley goes, we all need to be more patient. Paige and the freshies are doing great. Ice is starting to show her skills. Caroline didn't shoot well in Minnesota, but did play good defense, ran the court well, and rebounded. A good step forward. With all that everyone is unhappy about, I ask, how would you like to be a LSU fan right now? Ooh, Ryan, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe our Uncle Dave and you was having that conversation that I overheard today at Thanksgiving around the table.
Yeah, we dived into it a little bit. Yeah, there's definitely more unfortunate scenarios and situations that we could be covering right now for other teams. It's obviously not that easy for a lot of teams, but for UConn these past couple years, the injuries have been
Yeah.
really hard to believe. But yeah, Angel Reese in LSU, really interesting situation. Not sure what's going on. I kind of, not expected Angel Reese to miss games, obviously, but just LSU going through some struggles. I didn't really expect their season to be perfect whatsoever. I think the amount of high expectations that they had, it was just way too much. So South Carolina, I think, have really been surprising a couple of people at least, the way they've started out the season. But yeah, it's some definitely more unfortunate scenarios going around the league right now.
This is actually a new name that I haven't seen. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hopefully that anyway, this is I think a new person coming through. We appreciate them a lot for stopping by, watching us, and commenting. I believe KK is in fact living up to her standards that were set out for her. She reminds me of Kristen Williams when she played her first year at UConn and had an amazing first year. UConn needs to make some adjustments according to who's playing because the starting five is a bit shaky. I'm looking for the day Ice plays just as aggressive as Aaliyah Edwards and really contributes to the scoreboard. Well, along with that, Ryan, I mean, face it. I mean, I think if they can somehow, it's obvious, slow down Lauren Betts, you have a good chance.
Yeah, and I think it's possible with Aaliyah Edwards and Ice Brady down inside the paint together. It just gives them a more size. I wouldn't say advantage, but it gives them a chance at least to try to limit Lauren Betts and possibly the UCLA guards from driving into the lane, because I think that's been a little bit of a concern as well as the opponents that UConn has been facing It seems to be, UConn's defense letting them into the lane, too easy, too many easy buckets. So that's something as well that UConn's going to have to shore up these next couple games. And it certainly can't happen a lot in the UCLA game if they want to keep it close.
Predictions. I think that even Ryan is going to be surprised by this because Ryan, I think last second changes, they always come in my mind. I'm going UConn tomorrow night. I really am. I'm going UConn over UCLA, Ryan. I believe Gino and this group tears it up. That game against Minnesota is history, Ryan. That slow offensive start. Now that could happen here and there at times down the stretch. But hey, guess what, Ryan? This is a number 2 UCLA team. And I believe if you had KK Arnold, Ice Brady, everybody fired up, ready to go on that bench, this is the time to do it, especially with the news that came out. What was that, yesterday? We don't even want to talk about that. You know where I'm going with that. I think that this, you don't wait 2 games after that news or 3 games after that or a week or 2 weeks. I think that a statement is to be said tomorrow night. I'm going UConn, Ryan, 80-78. 80-78 UConn over number 2 UCLA.
Well, it definitely would be a really interesting game. I hope it's that close, but UConn, like I said, they're gonna have to force turnovers and be efficient on offense to win this game. I think the Bruins' firepower on offense is just gonna be a little too much for UConn. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that the overall firepower on UCLA, UConn dealing with some injuries, so I think it's a lot on UConn's plate to deal with. But this is definitely UConn's chance to make a really signature win. But I'm going 87-79 in favor of UCLA.
Ooh, Ryan. All right. We will be right back here tomorrow with everyone for the game recap. Ryan, tomorrow, 7:30. Tip-off from the Cayman Islands. John Gray Gymnasium. It's Lauren Betts and company. Paige Beckers and company squaring off tomorrow night, Ryan. Phil and Ryan, listen up.